abbreviation can be defined as a shortened form of a word or phrase. Examples include oh my god, what the fuck, shut the fuck up. Now as technology has evolved, so has our use of abbreviation in everyday conversation. You see, before the iPhone, we had the flip phone. And texting was a lot different with flip phones, and by different, I mean slower. A lot slower, as a flip phone had to contend with the problem of fitting the entire alphabet onto 9 buttons. So you would have to press a button multiple times in order to get the letter you want. So people decided to abbreviate common words and phrases so that way they wouldn't have to press the equivalent to a Mortal Kombat combo just to type a sentence out. So the reason why I'm telling you about the history of abbreviations and flip phones is to make myself look more reasonable to the viewers at home, so I don't look completely unhinged when I give this take. We need to dial it back with the abbreviation. I feel like we're just doing it too much now. I feel like every year that we come out with like 10 new abbreviations that everyone is just expected to know. And I'm just tired. Can we just type the word out? Instead of making 50 new code words that I have to learn. How much time do we really save? We have touchscreens now. We don't need to press 8,000 buttons to type out a sentence now. We have the entire alphabet on our screens. So why don't we just use it? Look, I am fine with widely known abbreviations such as LOL, BT dubs, what the fuck. But can't we just stop making 20 new abbreviations every year? I remember I had this acquaintance and he was a bad texter. And he would just always use abbreviations I didn't know. And I say bad texter in quotation marks because I don't think being a bad texter is a thing. If you're gonna take like a week to respond and you're not this like super busy person who's like constantly working, or you just like get constant messages from like all different people, then I don't want to hear you're a bad texter. Because if I can just get my feather quill, dip it in ink, write a letter, buy stamps, and then give my letter to the post office for the post office to then have the mailman drive across the country in traffic, LA traffic, to deliver my letter to your mailbox, I don't want to hear it. If that whole process of mailing a letter is faster than you giving a 30-second reply, I'm sorry, you're not a bad texter. In reality, that person who texted you just was not important enough to get a response quickly. Pretty much everyone always has their phone on them too. Maybe if it was just like 40 years ago, 20 years ago, when like texting actually took a long ass time because the Wi-Fi was slow, but that doesn't fly anymore. Look, I get it. Maybe you just don't even feel like replying right at that moment. But if this person who's texting you is a friend or an acquaintance who you really have no personal issues with, just respond to them. This is from my personal experience, but when someone just takes a week to respond to you on one of the fastest forms of communication known to man, I just assume I'm not important to them. It's as simple as that. Because I'm never gonna hold that against a person for not texting me right away. Because at the end of the day, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's in their life. I don't know if it really is genuinely something that prevents them from texting me right away. Sure, maybe they even could have forgotten about it. Sure, that's fine. But if someone takes a week to respond to me, I'm just gonna assume that I'm not that big of a deal to them, and I'll just become less inclined to text them. There's not gonna be any bad blood if they don't text me right away. Like, they're not gonna become my sworn enemy if they don't text me at the moment I like it, but I'm just gonna be like, alright, I mean, if you take a week to respond to me, I'll just not really text you. Okay, we're getting off topic. Let's get back on track. I had an acquaintance who would always just use abbreviations I didn't really know when texting me. But one abbreviation they would always use a lot with me was SLR, which stood for sorry, late reply. Because, you know, they were a bad texter, so they texted me that a lot. Sorry, late reply. But what I thought SLR meant was seriously. So when this person would text me and say SLR at the end of their text, I thought they were just saying seriously, so I was getting kind of annoyed. Not only does this person have the response time slower than an actual carrier pigeon, but I thought they were getting sarcastic with me by ending all their replies with SLR. And you see, this is where my main problem with abbreviation comes from. It is very hard to get context clues from an abbreviation if it only consists of 4 letters, right? When you're reading a book and you see a word you don't know, you can often find out what the word means just by the context clues. I'm not gonna be able to find out what a word means if it only has 3 fucking letters. If a word only has 3 letters, I don't think there's any context clues in the world that will tell me what that word means. Let me give you a scenario. One of the most popular phrases to be abbreviated is the phrase "for real," shortened as FR. Despite how popular this phrase is, I don't think there's any way you could find out what FR means from context clues if you don't know what it means already. If someone were to text me saying, like, "Hey bro, you look sexy in those jeans, for real," I'm not gonna know what FR means. I would assume that the spirit of a 20-year-old cat possessed them mid-text and they just fat-fingered all over their keyboard. And to those of you who say, why don't you just search it up on Google, who do you think you are? Why do you expect me to have to scour the internet just to decipher your little code words? Why do you get to decide what terms you want to use with me and I have to be the one to search it up? That would be the equivalent to me just texting someone and out of nowhere I use an Egyptian hieroglyphic. Randomly, mid-conversation, with no warning and no prior use, and I just fully expect them to Google what that hieroglyphic means. Like, I don't think, maybe they're not gonna know what the random Eye of Horus means. Oh well. No, if you use this term that you haven't used before with another person, tell them what it means. And another thing, Googling what a hieroglyphic means is probably faster than Googling what an abbreviation means. You see, when you Google an abbreviation, like let's say SLR, you're gonna get the abbreviation, but you're not gonna get the definition you were hoping for. Usually when you just put in a 3-letter word, it's just gonna be some random investment company. Or better yet, that abbreviation also stands for something else, so you'll never get the definition you were really looking for on the first try. For example, SLR. It means sorry late reply, but do you know what you get when you search up SLR? Single reflex lens. I'm pretty sure when my acquaintance was putting SLR at the end of their sentence, I don't think they were trying to market single reflex lenses to me. Them sending me SLR has probably only saved them 15 seconds at the most, and that's being generous, and then has wasted me about 2 whole minutes of scouring the internet to decipher these little code words that I don't know. This would be the equivalent of me going full Jimmy Neutron and just using like scientific terms for every possible thing in existence. Like, I'm not a better person for using these big words. I'm just kind of being self-centered by expecting everyone to waste their time to whip out their thesaurus to decipher my words. Look, despite the tone of this video, I'm not really against abbreviations. I think there are definitely some words and phrases that can be shortened, but if you just use abbreviations with people who might not necessarily know the meaning behind them, you just waste their time while you only save about 10 seconds at the most. So, to recap, while abbreviations do have their use and utility, we don't need to use them as much as we really do, as unlike before in the early 2000s where people had to type their keyboard about 300 times to type a single sentence, we have touchscreens now, and autocorrect, which can allow us to text far faster than we could before. And while using an abbreviation can save you time, it can waste a lot of time for other people. And if you do find the need to use an abbreviation, please just preemptively inform them what that abbreviation means, or just ask them like, hey, do you know what this means? Do you know what that means? It's not that hard. Also, being a bad texter is not a thing. You're just not interested in the person.